Being in this building it's rejuvenated me. It's been a breath of fresh air for me. I never wanted to leave Las Vegas, never wanted to, but life had different circumstances. But when I walked in this building after the last couple of months, I'm like, man, I'm glad I'm here.
The New Orleans Saints finally begin OTAs. Derek Carr is suited up in black and gold for the first time in his career. We're gonna break down what he had to say about his team and the little message he left for Josh McDaniels, the Raiders' current head coach. Plus, the tight end Foster Moreau, coming back from his battle of cancer, is a full participant in OTAs. And the newly drafted quarterback Jake Haener, well, he had kind of an odd photo shoot that the whole world got to see. We're gonna break down the Saints today. If you want me to cover your favorite NFL team, make sure you drop that in the comments below. The pictures are already out. You see Derek Carr working out with the red non-contact jersey. You also saw Jameis Winston, the former backup quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, also suited up and participating, along with Jake Haener, the rookie quarterback drafted out of Fresno State. And Derek Carr was talking about how he feels validated in choosing the New Orleans Saints. And he says he feels rejuvenated mastering the Saints terminology. He's always been a West Coast offense type of guy, and now he has that with offensive coordinator Peter Carmichael, similar to the stuff that he ran with John Gruden. It's what he's most comfortable with, unlike what he had last year. And the big question is, what are the expectations for the Saints in year one? Derek Carr is saying that he came here to win. He thinks it's a veteran team in which he has the best opportunity to win. But at the same time, it's a new quarterback, new team. What are the expectations this year? Is this going to be a year where they're like, oh, well, we're just getting acquainted with one another? It's Dennis Allen's second year as the head coach technically, therefore you can't expect too much from us. But it seems like it's the opposite. It really does seem like Dennis Allen is putting all of his chips on the table. He's going all in on this season to seriously make a splash in the NFC South. Not only is the division for anybody's taking, there's no longer Tom Brady in the division getting all the beneficial calls from the referees and automatically winning it every single time. But you look at Dennis Allen's situation. He took over for Sean Payton because Sean Payton no longer wanted the team and sort of gave up on the New Orleans Saints and decided to retire and then join the Broncos. I guess it was too difficult for Sean Payton without a healthy Drew Brees. And so Dennis Allen, the defensive-minded coach, took over last year, was able to grab some defensive players like the Honey Badger and planned to start Jameis Winston, and then Andy Dalton ended up becoming the full-time starter after Winston struggled with injuries earlier in the season. But now you see the owner, Gail Benson, investing in the Saints this year, paying for Derek Carr, restructuring a contract for Michael Thomas, extending tight end Juwan Johnson, giving the new contract for tight end Foster Moreau, and also investing in the interior defensive line and also restructuring contracts to keep some of these veteran players there in New Orleans. And Dennis Allen, by pushing for Derek Carr, sort of stuck his neck out there for Derek. And so if this does not work out, it's as much on Dennis Allen as it is on Derek Carr. And so both of these guys have high expectations this year. The only reason why you get your owner to invest this much in this team is because you're telling the owner, hey, I think we can make something special happen this year. But when asked about the expectations, obviously Derek Carr is going to be a humble guy, respect the competition, and say that he's just going to keep grinding and try to get better.
I believe that I came here, I downplay a lot of things, but I came here for one reason and one reason alone, that's to win. And I believe that I can do that. I believe that in myself. I believe in my teammates. I believe in this organization that they can help me do that. I can't do it by myself. No one can. I always feel that I can be better because I work to be better every day. So I hope to be better, at least until my body gives out, until I can't throw it anymore.
And what was interesting is he made that comment about how he hopes to get better, at least until his body gives out. And you have to wonder, Derek Carr, around 31 years old, how long is this guy going to play? One thing that's very interesting about him is he's been pretty durable. Besides the freak injury that happened at the end of the 2016 season and all the minor injuries that he's battled throughout his career, he has still been able to make himself available for almost every single game. And so maybe if he sticks with that same regimen, maybe his shelf life as a quarterback is a lot longer than many of us realize. And if this Derek Carr, Dennis Allen experiment really does work out and they take the division this year, Derek Carr could end up being a New Orleans Saint for almost as much time as he's been a Raider. And there are some Saints fans who do not know Derek Carr and are skeptical of the the guy. If the Raiders didn't want him, why should we feel like he's a good fit for the Saints? But it was a very odd season last year. You have Kay Adams commenting about this. Was last year more on Derek Carr or Josh McDaniels, the head coach of the Raiders? And there are a lot of Raiders fans like myself who truly believe Josh McDaniels was never sold on Derek Carr, wanted to kick him out of there just like he kicked out Jay Cutler when he was originally the head coach of the Denver Broncos. And so Derek Carr has the opportunity to show that it was not on him last year. And it has been widely reported, especially on my Raiders channel, that Josh McDaniels did not allow Derek Carr to make many adjustments at the line of scrimmage and definitely did not allow him to change the play. And there are even reports by The Athletic that there was a lot of disagreement and confrontation surrounding Derek Carr going rogue and calling some of his own plays in the victory against the Seattle Seahawks. And so it was really funny when Derek Carr made this comment that I believe was about Josh McDaniels.
The way I was taught is, if you're in control, you know where your problems are. You do all that studying, all that preparation just to, break the huddle and let someone else make the decision. I've always felt that if I like to be in control of the game. And I'm not right every time, but if I'm not right, at least I know where my answer's at, right?
Making adjustments at the line of scrimmage and checking into a play that would benefit the team the most based on reading the defense is one of Derek Carr's greatest strengths as a longtime veteran quarterback, similar to Peyton Manning and Drew Brees. No matter what you think about the guy, maybe you don't think he has the greatest arm, maybe you don't think he's as mobile as he should be, he is at least good as that and has proven that throughout his career. And so it was very odd when Josh McDaniels did not want to utilize Derek Carr's strength. And just like Derek Carr said in that presser, his skill was going to waste. He wasn't able to utilize all the studying that he did all throughout the week when the guy on the sideline just ends up calling the play anyway. And so I really do think Peter Carmichael, an offensive coordinator who many Saints fans criticized last year, will actually benefit from Derek Carr being able to make the right play call. And tight end Foster Moreau, the former Raider, it just seems like the Saints are Raiders 2.0. Rocket number 82 was out there running route, catching passes, and 2 months just after having Hodgkin's lymphoma. This is amazing to see this incredible comeback that he was able to have. And now he's going to be a full participant in OTAs this upcoming season. Seems like he'll be ready to go for training camp, and he sounded like he is going to be completely good. And this could be a huge steal for the New Orleans Saints because this guy has Rob Gronkowski potential in the red zone at times. He suffered with an injury in 2020 that sort of set him back, but you really were able to see what he could do in 2021 when you saw Darren Waller go down for the Raiders. Now, last year with the Vegas Raiders under Josh McDaniels, it was still good, but there were some problems there with the coach and QB relationship. So I do think Foster Moreau has a shot to explode this upcoming season. And not only him, but Juwan Johnson, the tight end that the Saints already have. This guy is an athletic freak that does need to improve in blocking, but he reminds me a lot of Darren Waller. That's exactly who Darren Waller was for Derek Carr over the past few years. Juwan Johnson, Derek Carr, Foster Moreau. Keep your eyes peeled for these guys. Even when it comes to fantasy football, I'm sensing a lot of touchdowns here. And the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, was showing up at OTAs. Some people like Demario Davis were not there, and we know veterans all have their reasons for not attending OTAs, but I thought it was great to see Tyrann Mathieu there. Defensive captain guy, one of your playmakers, showing that he's excited about this season and he wants to get in the building and meet the guys as quickly as possible. And Chris Olave is already catching passes from Derek Carr. This connection is going to be very interesting. When you're looking at the starting wide receiver lineup for the New Orleans Saints, does seem like Chris Olave is going to be number one. Michael Thomas was not attending OTAs. We know that there's been some optimism from the Saints that he'll be able to be back and play this season, but we're not entirely sure if he's going to be able to practice a lot in training camp. No one has been absolutely clear and definitive on his health. So I think unless we're proven otherwise, we should just leave a question mark on Michael Thomas and take a look at some of these other players for the New Orleans Saints, mainly the speedster, Rashid Shaheed, rocking number 22 these days. This guy was a freak on special teams last year and started to pop off towards the second half of the season in the receiving game. And yes, we know the Henry Ruggs situation ended in tragedy for Derek Carr and the Raiders, but prior to that, Derek Carr was clicking with this speedster, airing out some deep bombs, and he was able to catch it in stride. I don't know, man. I think the best case scenario, and I think a likely scenario, is Rashid Shaheed could sort of be the Henry Ruggs for Derek Carr. And so not only do you have Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave, your number one, number two, we'll see what happens with Michael Thomas if he's going to be healthy, but you still got James Washington, the former Pittsburgh Steeler, who could be a diamond in a rough, looking for a second shot in his career. career, A.T. Perry, who was selected and drafted just this past year by the Saints, and you still have Bryan Edwards, the former Raider, who was just signed, reconnecting with Derek Carr. He could be an interesting target, perhaps the number 3 wide receiver, if everything goes according to plan. So it seems like the Saints have their 2 starters solidified, and they're waiting for one other guy to pop off, whether that be Michael Thomas or one of these other receivers who are on prove-it deals. And oh my goodness, Jake Haener, the Fresno State quarterback selected by the New Orleans Saints this past season, well, he had a photo shoot that gave us what Warren Sharp calls a roller coaster of emotions. And Derek Carr commented on the young quarterback's photo shoot. Apparently the team got to take a look at it.
Has not reviewed Jake's photo shoot from the rookie premiere?
Yes, we have. Yes. Why, yes, we have. I didn't take that class at Fresno State.
But we had this one that got everybody talking. The GQ sort of male model look is what Jake Haener was going for. And then he had this one showing off the jawline, putting the fist together. Oh, and perfect. Yes, you gotta do a chin rub, a little chin rub, and slight duck lips is what we got going on here. And this one is sort of like, oops, you surprised me. But Jake Haener had a ton of fun with the photo shoot, and it went completely viral on social media. You saw tons of people laughing at the guy. And especially since he has the tongue out. I mean, the tongue out, you're sort of asking for it. You're asking to get roasted there. But quarterback Jake Haener did repost and retweet people laughing at this photo shoot, so the guy knows he's having fun with it. He knew what he was doing. We're breaking down all the teams all around the NFL. Any team that we find interesting, make sure you drop some comments below for what team you want to see us cover next. My name is WiFiWillie. Peace out, and I hope you have a good one.